What's up, SRL fans, and welcome back to another SRL Classic video. This time we're going to be at the Singapore Grand Prix of Season 2. Looking back at Season 2, we were still racing on F1 2014, and unfortunately the Singapore Grand Prix was never uploaded because we are behind schedule. So yeah, I thought it would be a nice idea to re-upload this and have a look at how things went. Here you can see the grid of the Season 2 SRL Championship with all the driver lineups. Notable was, for example, newcomer Nick van Gelder, who joined the season midway through. And yeah, let's have a look. It's the Singapore Grand Prix. It was towards the end of the season at the 22nd of April in 2017. It was Nick van Gelder taking pole position ahead of Dion Stahl, who did a great job in qualifying. Christian Lampinen at his first ever SRL start started P3, and was Samuel Brandt. Sandro Doulis qualified on the alternate tire strategy. That's why he's starting only in P5. Then it's Stoner Eduardo, Yannick Verpeten, and Batfing Wings of Steel. Championship leader at this point was Alex Benachetti at McLaren. Unfortunately, the Colombian wasn't able to make this race, so this race happened without the championship leader, Benachetti. So we're on the grid now, on board with P2, Dion Stahl, and let's have a look at how things go here at the Singapore Grand Prix of Season 2 SRL Classic. Let's go racing. Dion Stahl has an average start. Nick van Gelder retakes the lead as Dion Stahl outbrakes himself into turn 1, has to cut the corner, and he stays in P2 though. Christian Lampinen couldn't get by the Dutchman, so it's a Dutch 1-2 for Nick van Gelder and Dion Stahl. Behind Dion Stahl is still Christian Lampinen, the Finnish Williams driver, and here we are in P4 now with Sandro Doulis on board with him. He could make up a position against Samuel Brandt at the start of the race. As we can see, Samuel Brandt attacking Sandro Doulis now. Down the inside, Doulis closes the door and they make contact. Lucky for both of them that they didn't spin out though. So Sandro Doulis is up to P4 on the prime tires. There is rain scheduled for the end of the race, so Sandro Doulis was hoping that he could make it until the rain shower with the prime tires he's on. So clever thinking by Sandro, but if it doesn't go his way, then this was pretty useless. But for now, he's up one position as Samuel Brandt has looked down his inside into the hairpin, but couldn't make anything stick there. Doulis goes into rich mix, trying to defend his position, and he stays in P4 for now. Up front, nothing really is changing, as we are on board with Dion Stahl now, who outbrakes himself and goes into the barrier underneath the grandstand. So, man, what a shame for Dion Stahl. He's been really unlucky. He had some great showings, for example, at Sochi when he took pole position. As we are on board with Yannick Verpeten now, who's currently in last place. It looks like he outbraked himself, going into, same corner as Dion Stahl. He outbraked himself, but he went into the runoff instead of going into the wall like Dion Stahl. So yeah, that was a shame for Dion Stahl. He had a great qualifying session, qualified P2, but now he's gonna be way down in last place as he has to come in for a pit stop for another front wing, and he will be screwed over by the strategy as well. So, yeah, what a shame for the Dutchman. As we are on board with race leader Nick van Gelder. He's in a comfortable lead now as Dion Stahl has crashed out, with Christian Lampinen already being 2.5 seconds behind him, as Sandro Doulis is up to P3 now after his teammate Stahl crashed into the wall under the grandstand. Nick van Gelder joined the league midway through Season 2. And he had pace straight away. He was Alex Benachetti's biggest title contender together with Francis McGinn. Just really unlucky that Nick van Gelder had some trouble with internet connection in the first few races. He disconnected from the Bahrain Grand Prix and the German Grand Prix, but he was able to fix these issues throughout the season. The same issue did Sandro Doulis have. He disconnected 3 times in a row at Hungary, at Monaco, and at Silverstone. So yeah, he fixed it though. So and I can already tell you guys there won't be any disconnects throughout this race, as we stay on board with Dion Stahl. He's really comfortable in the lead. He's just managing the gap to Christian Lampinen, the rookie, in his first race here. Yeah, pretty comfortable as the DRS is now enabled, so this will be a help for Samuel Brandt, who's within the DRS window of Sandro Doulis for P3. So we're probably going to see an attack from Danish driver against his friend and co-owner Sandro Doulis. And here we are now on board with Sandro Doulis, who's in rich mix trying to defend the position of Samuel Brandt, who you can see goes down the inside of the Greek Ferrari driver. They're side by side now in the second sector. Samuel Brandt tries to go around the outside, but Doulis goes wide and shuts the door. Samuel Brandt has another look down his inside into this corner. Sandro leaves the gap open, and oh, they make contact. And this was not ideal. Sandro Doulis left the gap open there because he knows that Samuel Brandt is on the quicker tires. He's on the option tires, so he didn't really want to defend the position too hard. I think that Samuel Brandt touched the inside curb and ran Sandro out of room, and then they made contact and both went into the wall. So what a big shame there. Doulis now has front wing damage. On F1 2014, this wasn't a big deal as long as it's orange, an orange front wing. But the problem with it was that he was forced to change that front wing within the next pit stop, because unfortunately there wasn't this setting where you can set if you want the front wing to be changed during a pit stop or not on F1 2014. So yeah, this will be an additional 5 seconds lost for Doulis on his pit stop. So not ideal for him, as Brandt is now up to P3 in this race, as Doulis dropped down to P4. Nick van Gelder sets another fast lap of the race, as we can see here. He's really pushing. His gap to Christian Lampinen in second place is already up to 6.9, almost 7 seconds. So what a stunning performance here by the young Dutchman Nick van Gelder. As we can see him using rich mix wisely. Going back into standard because you don't want rich mix in those slow corners and those acceleration zones, because you get a lot of wheel spin, you wear out the rear tires, and there's really no need for that, especially in Van Gelder's case, who's already over 7 seconds in the lead after only 4 laps here in the Singapore Grand Prix. Still the old chicane, as we can see here, not as we have it on F1 2018 or 19. We still use on F1 2014, F1 still use the other side of the bridge they go on. So yeah, that's why the layout is slightly different than on newer F1 games. I'm expecting the first few pit stops coming in the next 3 laps probably. The option tire drivers, so basically everybody apart from Sandro and I think Yannick Verpeeten are gonna be in the pits. As we can see Nick van Gelder here making a crucial mistake. Yeah, he has to calm down a little bit because he lost a lot of time on this lap. He lost 4 seconds compared to the previous lap. He overheated the rear tires. Yeah, as we can see here, Christian Lampinen caught up to him by 1.1 seconds last lap, so really no need for Van Gelder here to risk a possible crash as he's leading comfortably. As we can see here, Dion Stahl has closed the gap on lap 6 now to Yannick Verpeeten. This is for P7, this is the last 2 drivers on the track right now. As Dion Stahl had a look down Yannick Verpeeten's inside into turn 1, but Verpeeten was able to defend his position. Dion Stahl obviously had to make his early pit stop after the crash on lap 1, as Yannick Verpeeten is still on his first set of tires. He is the only other driver next to Sandro Doulis who qualified on the prime compound tires for this race, the yellow wall tires. So Dion Stahl is technically on fresher tires, and I imagine he probably has better pace than Yannick Verpeeten, because I mean Dion Stahl qualified in P2, so he already proved that he has some good pace this weekend. On board with Nick van Gelder, we can see the pit stop sign is blinking in the right hand side of your screen, so that means here you can see it. He's coming into the pits now for his one and only scheduled pit stop. I mean, we still got the threat of rain at the end of the race, but for now he's coming in for his only pit stop of the race, going on to prime compound tires. Into the pits he goes. Fresh set of tires on. Obviously really cold now, so he has to look out for the pit lane exit, that he doesn't do a mistake. Back into standard, he saved a little bit of fuel while going through the pits, and out he goes. He's back on the track in P4 now, as Christian Lampinen has taken the lead. On board with Sandro Doulis now, he's in P3. He's going to be taking the lead when Sammy Brandt and Christian Lampinen ahead of him are going into the pits on possibly this lap, as Sandro Doulis is on the prime compound tires, which means he's going to be able to stay out longer, and that's probably what you want. He's hoping for the rain to come as early as possible, because he's trying to stretch the first stint until the rain shower comes, so he can save himself from doing one additional pit stop. On board with Yannick Verpeten, he's down in last place as he made his first and hopefully only pit stop of the race, so that means he's back into last place, dropping behind Dion Stalls. He makes a mistake touching the inside wall, which no chance for him, sends him into the outside wall. Luckily for him, there was no damage made to his front wing, so everything is alright for the Belgian. He's now on the option tire. Like Sandro Doulis, he's running the reverse strategy. As we can see, Doulis now coming to the pits on lap 9. We can see in the top left corner of your screen that Samuel Brandt and Christian Lampinen also stretched the first stint on their option tires. So this is interesting, as Doulis gets a new front wing. Obviously, we remember the contact made between him and Samuel Brandt in the first few laps of the race, so he had to change his front wing here. So yeah, we could say this strategy didn't really work out for Doulis, as he's now on the option tire. At least he's on the quicker tire now. He can close the gap back down to Samuel Brandt and Christian Lampinen for P3 and P2 in the race, as Nick van Gelder's back into the race lead. On board with Dion Stalls now, who, because of the pit stops, is back up to P5 in the race. But his tires are already really worn. He's been on the tires for 9 laps now already. So he's going into the chicane, and he picks up another penalty, and he's been disqualified. Yeah, so that was Dion Stalls' 5th corner cutting penalty in the race, which disqualifies him off the race. So that is a big hit for Dion Stalls, who's not going to pick up any points here at Singapore. It was looking really good after qualifying, starting P2, but yeah, his biggest issue is corner cutting, and it has hit him again, unfortunately. So yeah, Dion Stalls is now out of the race. The first retirement of the race, well, basically not retirement, he's been disqualified. But yeah, on board with Nick van Gelder now. With all the pit stops, he obviously made the undercut against Christian Lampinen, even though it wasn't really necessary, to be honest. The gap is now back up to 12 seconds. So yeah, we got 4 laps to go in this race, and we can hear some from drivers at this point are talking about some drops of rain on their camera lenses. So that's interesting to see if the rain is coming down any harder before the end of the race. Maybe we will see a possible change to intermediate tires for the last lap or two. So this will be a bit interesting here, some challenging conditions here at the end of the race. The race till now wasn't the most exciting one, not really much happened. It was basically Van Gelder managing his lead ahead of Christian Lampinen, and the only real battle was between Doulis and Brandt going over strategy. So yeah. Van Gelder here looking comfortably in the pace, even though Christian Lampinen has caught up to him by 5/10 in the last sector. But I mean, there's no real need for Nick van Gelder to push here, as he's a comfortable lead, and he can close the gap in the championship against Alex Benacetti, who's not able to race here at Singapore today. On board still with Nick van Gelder, he goes into rich mix and back to standard. On board with Sandro Doulis now on lap 11, as he's still in P4 trying to close the gap against Samuel Brandt, who is currently in 3rd place. As he's pushing really hard, he bounced over the curb here in I think it's turn 3, and made some slight contact with the wall. He's obviously really pushing hard, as his strategy didn't really work out for him. So he's trying to close the gap on his option tires against Samuel Brandt's prime tires now. With we have 3 laps to go here, but it's really not looking like Doulis' strategy will pay out at any point here, because he's just running out of time. And the gap to the Samuel Brandt isn't really that small yet. So yeah, that's a shame for Doulis, who's having not the best season. I mean, last season, season 1 for Doulis, he was fighting for the championship until the last round of the season, and lost the championship against Eden Neumann by only 1 point. In season 2, Doulis is still on only 1 win, which came in the first round at Australia. Doulis at this point is, I think, P4 in the driver standings, behind Alex Benacetti, Nick van Gelder, and Francis McGinn. Talking about Francis McGinn, who drove for Mercedes in season 2, he unfortunately also couldn't make the race. So P1 and P3 in the championship standings weren't participating in this round of SRL League racing in season 2. So yeah, that's a shame, as we are approaching lap 13 now, onward with Doulis still here. So we should switch back to Yannick Verpeten, who's currently running P6, so he's made up 2 positions, obviously with Dion Stahl being disqualified, and he's also overtaking Stoner Eduardo, who we haven't talked about all race long. He's the teammate of Nick van Gelder at Haas, well, basically Caterham, but we called it Haas in this season. So the Costa Rican is now up to P6, as we're on board with Nick van Gelder. Back again in the lead here. He's not pushing too hard, obviously, just trying to manage the gap and getting this victory done. Penultimate lap now. We're starting the penultimate lap of the race, and we can hear the drivers talking about rain more and more. So the rain is coming down even harder, as we can see it here now on the camera lens. You can see some spots of rain, so this is interesting with 2 laps to go now. Will this challenge the drivers here, especially Nick van Gelder, who's lost a lot of time to Christian Lampinen on the last lap? So down, the gap is down to only 6.5 seconds, while it was over 12 seconds only a few laps ago. So this is interesting. Looks like Nick van Gelder is not driving well in these conditions. He looks much slower than at least the guys behind him. It could be him only managing the gap and not pushing too hard. Especially for the leader in those conditions, it's the worst, because he's approaching the wet spots of the track as the first driver. So the first one who gets caught out by a puddle or 2 is the guy who makes the mistake. So this is really treacherous conditions for Nick van Gelder now. Yeah, he didn't want the rain. He just wanted to finish this race and win it, as he was the dominant car in the dry all the time. But now he's thrown into these tricky conditions, and you can see him sliding on the exit of the corner. The slick tires don't have any grip here in the wet. I'd love to see how the temperatures of his tires are. See, makes contact with the wall here. So this is really tricky as he goes wide, and oh my goodness, Nick van Gelder is into the wall. I can't believe it. No way. Has he just bottled it? Christian Lampinen is looking for a lead. Nick van Gelder has no front wing. Christian Lampinen goes by, and the rookie in his first ever race is into the lead with some slight contact with Nick van Gelder. Wow, what a turn of events here now, going into the last lap, and Nick van Gelder is forced to pit as his teammate Stoner Eduardo crashes out of the race. So drama here with only 2 laps to go. Nick van Gelder goes on intermediates. Christian Lampinen has stayed out. Samuel Brandt has stayed out too, and Doulis throws the Hail Mary and goes in for the intermediate tires too. So he's He thinks that only for the last lap here he needs some intermediate tires because the slick tires will be not good enough for the last lap. Well, to be honest, he doesn't really have much to lose. He has a big gap to the car in P5, which is Badfinger Wings of Steel in the Force India. As we can see here, Nick van Gelder, he's getting his front wing changed. He's gonna stay ahead of Doulis, so that's not a problem. But yeah, he's gonna try to close back the gap back down now to Brandt and Lampinen, who are leading the race on slick tires though, so they will be much slower than Van Gelder at this stage, who's obviously on the intermediates. Wow. He also has to save up some fuel as he's on optimal right now. It could jump to -1 lap at any time. Oh man, this is some heartbreak here from Van Gelder, who was looking so strong all weekend long. Got pole position, dominated the race, led by 12 seconds, then lost some 6 seconds in the last 2 laps. And then suddenly he got caught up by the rain and lost his front wing, was forced to pit, and he's back down to P3. Doulis only 6 seconds behind him. You can see the gap to Sandro Doulis is 18 seconds now. It was much bigger, so he's definitely closing in the gap as we are now here with Sandro Doulis, who's struggling on his prime tires, searching for any grip on these slick tires, but he's just hoping that the gap is enough for him to stay in P2 and not get caught up by Van Gelder. But I think the win is gone from Van Gelder now. I don't think he can catch up to Christian Lampinen, who you can see on the mini-map is already going into the final 2 corners now, on board with Christian Lampinen. In the Williams, this is his first ever SRL start, and it's looking really likely as he's gonna take the win here in his first ever SRL race. Going for the final corner, and Christian Lampinen is gonna win the Singapore Grand Prix of Season 2. Sandro Doulis is gonna finish second, and it wasn't enough for Van Gelder to close the gap back down here again on the final lap. So what a shame for the Dutchman. He was looking so likely to win this race. But yeah, he bottled it on the penultimate lap of the race, and he only finishes in a disappointing P3. And here he is. Christian Lampinen wins for Williams. And I can tell you right now, this is actually his only ever SRL start. So Christian Lampinen wins his only ever SRL race ahead of Sandro Doulis. In second place, and it's Nick van Gelder in third. Sandro Doulis in a disappointing P4. His strategy didn't play out. Badfinger Wings of Steel in P5. Yannick Verpeeten recovers to P6 because of retirements of Stoner Eduardo and Jan Stahl, who, well, didn't really retire, got disqualified off the race for cutting too many corners. So yeah, big disappointment for the Ferrari driver. But yeah, it's Christian Lampinen in his only ever SRL start taking the win. I hope you enjoyed this episode of SRL Classic. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel to see more SRL League racing as we are approaching the start of Season 5 next month. So stay tuned for that, especially for the SRL review. I've been Sandro. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in some weeks. If you want to support the SRL League, check out our SRL League Patreon page. Link down below in the description. Grab yourself some exclusive prizes and rewards for becoming a Patreon.